So this is a review of Star Trek Picard episode 2 or 3, or what was it? It's gotta be 3. 3, Assimilation. They basically rundown of the episode. They have to escape from the authorities that have found them out, that they're, even though they're in a mirror universe where they're technically in charge of stuff, the other authorities are like, "Oh, you're not who you say you are," or something. How do they know that? And then they have a battle, and Eleanor is critically wounded, and they decide at the last second to do the time warp thing and the calculations and go back in time to 2024, which is 2 years from now. The Star Trek universe, presumably in the Star Trek universe, when the eugenics wars actually happened. And then the Bell riots would be 2024, a little later. I don't think they address them directly, although Mark Bernardin is one of the producers on it, so maybe they do. Yeah, sort of. But yeah, the guy from Fat Man Beyond, Fat Man and Batman, Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin, that guy, he's in it, so he's involved. So there's going to be angst, and there's going to be like authority figures acting like jerks, and then against minorities, because that's what they do. Also, there's going to be like blatant. They're going to hit you over the head with rioters and bad guys and homeless communities and all that kind of stuff. That was from essentially from that other show they liked, the Watchmen remake, which took place in Oklahoma. Although the pilot of that didn't. That's another tangent, because the pilot of that didn't make sense because of who they made the bad guys in it. But that's another story. Rorschach would not, have followers that were white supremacists, because Rorschach would be the opposite of that. Yeah, so it didn't make sense. That whole premise, the bad guys in that, did not make sense. Just because that didn't make sense, because he would be actually for the minority character. He would be the good guy. But yeah, he was a psychotic character, but he was a good guy. So here we have this other thing that's the Star Trek story where the Borg Queen has to be reawakened. So Jurati and Picard try to reawaken her by partially assimilating Jurati and kind of making her crazy, because Jurati is crazy. She's based on the Jenny Piedmont character from Fictional Adventures, who is crazy. She's schizophrenic. Born in the 90s in one version of the timeline, and in the 80s in another version of the timeline. That particular character is supposed to be schizophrenic. Even though she's a brilliant doctor, she's schizophrenic. She's insane. She's a borderline personality disorder, they call it now. So putting her in the Borg is going to mess up the Borg Queen, basically, if they did that. Rios and Seven, and they've put Eleanor in the morgue because he died. He's in the ship's morgue. They have a morgue on the ship. Apparently they do. I guess they did from that other story too. They got a morgue. Is the other guy still in there? Anyway, probably not. It's a different timeline. Yeah, is Maddox still in there? Anyway, so yeah, Maddox and Mathis, and how they changed that in Cillian Space was, we were copying them and they were copying us. So, so they were allowed to use it and we were allowed to use it. So, so Jurati is a Piedmont or a Foster. Could be a Jenny Foster as well. It's a fictional, on location fictional adventures person. That's what she's supposed to be. She's a Cillian, basically. She's a Cillian. She's from the Andover planet. Cillian. Anyway, so we have at least one Cillian. Rios is also a Cillian. Rios is Maco from John Mark's cards. He's Maco. It's basically Maco. So of course, as Maco, and that's before the Macos in Enterprise. This goes back to the 80s in the role-playing game Silly Trek at Pine Hill. which they know about. Somehow they know about it. They reference Rick and Morty in this episode. Also, we have an immigrant clinic where Rios, Maco, I keep calling him Maco, ends up with a concussion similar to Chekhov in Star Trek 4. And except it's a clinic and he doesn't have an ID, and this little kid steals his communicator and tries to do Morse code with it. So they know what the communicator might be. I don't think they can beam over there though. The Borg lady he tricks the kid with, tries to trade it for cookies, the communicator, to get it back from the kid, but there's a Kenny in it. All of Brandon Tunnell's reviews. There's a Kenny. The cops, the ICE people will come to attack. Of course, the ICE people show up to, ICE as in immigrant customs group, or whatever, that ICE, that they show up. Even though in Los Angeles in 2024, 2 years from now, that's unlikely. But sure, for the course of this movie, that is woke. No, it's okay though. It works at the premise of the story. There's one scene in which we have one of them. It's the girl, the JL or people's names. Seven's friend, the girl. Yeah, she beams over to she's a guy tries to assault. He's got a gun, and she knocks it out of his hand. I guess it was a fake gun because it must have been a fake. It knocked it on the ground, like a pretend gun. A real gun, that wouldn't work. You're gonna knock a gun out of their hand that quick. No. No. But in this context of this story, okay. And the hills are burning in Los Angeles, similar to 2020. And so, yeah. And knowing that when the Silly Trek stuff takes place and when they moved 2 years ahead because of the way it's filmed, 2024 instead of 2022, so they could line it up with the other story. So they're aware of our role-playing game, and they're just like, okay, let's not mix that up. Let's have it be like 2401 and 2024. So it's 78 years, 79 years between the two. Between that and the classic Trek, which would be 2324. Yeah, roughly. 2324 and 2400, 2401, 78, 79 years later, after the original Star Trek. It's very convoluted, but just know that's where they've gone to, 2024. They've gone to see the Watcher. They're going to reveal a Marvel character. Right? There's a scene, there's a Kendra in it, and it shows up, and also referencing Tenold. I'm going to say where I'm referencing this stuff so that nobody thinks that the channel is ripping off people without giving them credit. There's a review channel where this guy does a bunch of movies, and he's like, when he reviews an old Godzilla movie or an old Gamera movie, there's annoying children in it. They're Kennys and Kendras, so that's where that comes from. If there's annoying children, one of them thinks she's a superhero. Yeah, there's an awful lot of stuff that will probably make the alt-right people really, really mad about the episode just because, oh no, darn it, oh. But yeah, it's fictionalized. It's not. I mean, they're clearly addressing like immigrants and homelessness in camps and things like that in the episode. More so than I can say for that Milan remake that was live action, where they didn't acknowledge the camps in the background. Yeah. But yeah, in this case they do. Rios got injured, so he ends up in this clinic, and he ends up getting captured by this clinic, and then the cops capture him. So. In the trailer, there is a scene in which he is in a cop car, and they take a cop car. Not sure. So that's going to happen a little later when they're in the cop car. Of course, it being Los Angeles, the traffic would be ridiculous, and they would never get where they were going for hours anyways. Unlike that 24 show, it's just completely unrealistic. Yeah, he was stuck on 405 for like an hour. His bomb goes off. Yeah. You should go to Anaheim or something. Yeah. So we have a lot of allusions to the culture wars in this, but it's done in a way that actually works. They do hit you over the head with it, but it's done in a way that works. They play it serious enough that it's not just simply, oh, look at what we did, wink, see that's wink. Except for that part when they arrest him, that seemed a little bit like wink. See what we did there? Even though ICE wouldn't go to LA and arrest people like randomly at a random clinic somewhere. Who sent them? Were they tracking the communicator badge? No, it's Los Angeles, and no. Even in San Jose, I don't think they would do that. They'd be like, oh, we don't care. Yeah, it's not like there's like border agents running around rampantly, unless in that universe that Trump got reelected or something. In that universe is even more worse. Maybe that's the case. Maybe the evil bad guy is actually the cuddle Trump character, and that's how they have to stop the universe. If they go there, that would be funny. They won't, but it's not cute. But it might be cute in this case. Unlike in the other story where it wasn't cute, it was Booker. It was the catalyst. But so it's kind of all over the place. Hopefully they don't stay in the 21st century very long, because it would just be a retread of Star Trek 4. Hopefully they don't do that. Yeah. So. Anyway, so if they stay there just another episode and then go home, that's fine. Don't spend the whole episode there just because you ran out of money. No. Don't do that. Hope they don't do that. Anyway, that's Picard episode 3.